Hello, everybody. Apologize for the sleeping baby on my belly, but hopefully that's okay. So I'd like to talk a little bit about food waste in school lunch programs, school food programs, and kind of what the statistics are as far as what the food waste is. Hi. Sorry. Statistics on the levels of food waste in school lunch programs, and also a few strategies that are being looked at in terms of implementation to reduce waste, particularly food waste in school lunch programs. So I looked at a few studies that were conducted in various areas. The first looked at middle school students in the Boston area, and so there were about 1,600 students in two schools that served as initiative schools and the two in control schools. So they were looking at the costs associated with food waste and the percentage of food consumed compared to the gold standard of 85% consumption. So the results showed that food waste in middle schools accounts for about 26.1% of the total food budget for the schools being wasted, which equates to just over $400,000 a year being wasted. And the research also found in this study that substantially less than 85% of the gold standard goal for food consumption was not met. So this really outlines that food waste is a pretty serious issue in a lot of schools. An additional study looked at food waste among pre-kindergarten and kindergarten students who are fed by the National School Lunch Program, and they looked at, for 5 consecutive days in a single school, they took pictures of lunch trays and separated meal components into bins to assess which types of food were being wasted the most and how much food was being wasted. And they estimated that from 304 meals they examined from the classes of the food that was being served, about 45% of that food was being wasted, which equals about 141 pounds of food waste in a single week at a single school. They also mentioned that the greatest amount of food waste was generated from vegetables, the main entree, whatever choice it was, and milk. So this really does go to show that kids are really wasting a lot of food. And so there really is a need to assess and identify some strategies that could help to reduce this food waste. One strategy that was suggested in a paper written by a couple of researchers suggested that programs such as self-serve initiatives could be helpful in reducing food waste. So, for example, allowing kids to take as much food as they want rather than being served a certain portion could help to reduce food waste. This would also help with, in terms of food preferences. Obviously, the nutritional guidelines necessary for school lunch programs would necessitate some sort of facilitation of this program to make sure that kids are still getting all the necessary nutritive components in their school lunch programs. But I thought that was a good suggestion for a good strategy to decrease food waste. They also mentioned, having more flexibility with school lunches could help. However, I think this could eventually lead to issues with food waste being just transitioned to pre-consumer rather than post-consumer food waste. For example, one of the biggest industries that contributes to food waste is the catering industry, and that's due to the fact that food is prepared for the masses and whatever's not eaten is just wasted. So something like this could contribute to that if more food is being prepared than is being used. However, I have seen also that in a lot of, for example, restaurants, if they have a certain entree available on a certain day, then whatever isn't used can be reutilized into other meals. For example, a restaurant that I worked at here in the valley would serve prime rib on Friday and Saturday evenings, and whatever prime rib was left over would be shredded and used to make like cheesesteak sandwiches the following week. So if there was some strategic way to reutilize food that hasn't been wasted but that's still good, that could be helpful to reduce food waste. Another strategy that I've often thought of, I know has been mentioned in classes, and I'm not sure if it's being implemented anywhere, but especially in elementary schools where lunches often correlates with recess hour, allowing kids to go play at recess first and then coming in and eat lunch as opposed to vice versa could help kids be more hungry when they go to eat, and also not be rushing through their meals so that they can just go play. Could help to reduce food waste in schools. So, as I mentioned, food waste in schools is a pretty big issue and definitely something that needs to be addressed. But a few simple solutions or simple strategies could help to provide solutions for this issue.